Backfired. We'll bring you the details. All those stories coming up this morning. And joining me to talk all about it, Independent Women's Voice CEO and President Heather Higgins is with us this morning. The King's College Professor of Business and Economics, Brian Brenberg, is here. And Roseclef CEO, Managing Partner, Mike Murphy. Good morning.
Good morning, Maria.
Good to see everybody.
Good morning.
Happy Friday. Here we are on the doorstep of 100 days.
100 days, major tax announcements, still talking health care, government shutdown. We started the week saying there are so many issues in play. We're ending the week with so many issues in play. Looks like next week's going to be big as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's because 100 days is an artificial deadline. And as we all know, good policy is better than fast policy. But FDR started us down this road of the first 100 days, so it gives us a hook.
It's a good point. It's a very good point and an important one.
You can poke a lot of holes in the first 100 days, but I think really what President Trump has been able to accomplish, the work he's put in and the different things he's been able to get on the table, not all passing, but just being able to get them out there, I think shows us what we're in store for, and I think it's a positive for the economy overall.
Yeah, which is why the markets have been on fire these 100 days. We've got a big program ahead this morning, so stay with us. We've been talking with the CEO of Celgene, Mark Aulas is with us. The Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton, will join us. Florida Congressman Ron DeSantis is here, and the Director of White House National Economic Council, Gary Cohn, is joining us live to talk more about the tax plan. The Chairman and CEO of IBM, Ginni Rometty, will stop by as well. Big program ahead. Stay right there as we kick it off right now with our top story. President Trump is set to mark a milestone tomorrow, 100 days in office, from signing 28 bills into law to issuing more than 30 executive orders, as well as getting a Supreme Court nominee confirmed. It is clear this president's first 100 days have been defined by action. On the eve of the occasion, President Trump himself reflected on life within the White House. Listen.
I loved my previous life. I had so many things going. I actually, this is more work than in my previous life. I thought it would be easier.
So it's funny because when, as Heather said, 100 days is so arbitrary. But what do you guys think in terms of future historians and how they will look at President Trump's first 100 days?
I'm searching for the word here, and the one that keeps coming to mind is unapologetic.
Yeah.
He has done what he said he wanted to do. He's had some big wins. Neil Gorsuch, to me, is the biggest. He's had some big losses. Healthcare was a big loss for him. But he keeps moving ahead, and he just says, I'm going. I'm not going to stop. I'm not looking back. No regrets. Unapologetic is the way he's running his White House, and I think over the long term that's probably the way you have to manage a White House. But it means, you know, in the short term there's going to be some big wins, there's going to be some big losses.
Yeah, it's so unrealistic to say, oh yeah, we're going to do this massive policy, tax reform package, health care repeal and replace in 100 days. I mean, I think even Paul Ryan yesterday, when he was saying these things take time, had credibility on the subject.
Well, I wouldn't call it a loss because we're not there yet. I mean, that's an artificial construct, and that's not taking into account, for example, the Senate filibuster. Remember, there are two filibusters in the Senate. There's the one that we all think of that, you know, stops the debate and moves to a vote, and a senator can say, I need more time to discuss this. But the one that's been the strategic block, and the reason that the Senate has gone from being the world's greatest deliberative body to not deliberating anything, is the first one that allows you, requires 60 votes to even get legislation to the floor, that the Democrats have used time and time again to stop legislation that's passed the House from getting to the Senate. That's just one of many blocks, the confirmation blocks, etc. This stuff is not going to happen in that short period of time, but he is keeping his promises, one of his big themes. Everybody's going to talk about, you know, the litanies of what's gotten done and what's not, but he's been a disruptor, and it's been extraordinarily effective. He's maintained red lines. That's incredibly important to his supporters. His focus on jobs, his constantly proving the people who
He's sort of putting it out there, and Jeff Sessions putting it out there saying, don't come. If you are committing a crime, you will go to jail, and you will go back home. Then there's North Korea. A big takeaway from that Reuters interview was the president's assessment of North Korea, which he called his biggest global challenge. Watch.
There's a chance that we could end up having a major conflict with North Korea. Absolutely.
Now, despite those ominous words, the president said he would love to solve things diplomatically, but it is very difficult. So how do you see Trump's comments landing internationally in North Korea? I mean, is this more taunting, or there's really nothing we can do? There's a crazy person in charge of North Korea, and he's going to do what he wants to do.
Well, it's interesting to think about where he wants those words to land. Nobody really knows how things land in North Korea. It's very hard to read. I think he wants those words to land in China, actually. If you've looked at him recently, he's been praising the Chinese president, talking about the partnership there. Those have been interesting words coming from the president, given his critique of China during the campaign, but he's been very praiseworthy on the one hand. On the other hand, he says this: conflict is very possible. I think those words land in China, and it's meant to get China to help with a diplomatic solution in North Korea, not a military solution.
And finally, we've got some kind of expectation that China is helping or trying or addressing this realistically. 3 presidents have tried to get China involved in reining in North Korea, unable to do so.
We have had presidents recently who spoke loudly and carried no stick. The strike into Syria in retribution for their gas attacks was the big stick, followed by the speaking softly. We have a Teddy Roosevelt president now internationally who understands the use of power, and where the rest of the world believes that he's serious about his willingness to use it. That has to have an effect, even in North Korea, but certainly in China.
Big statement, yeah. All right, we'll take a short break. We've got a lot to come this morning. When we come back, United Airlines, the others fractionally lower. Toyota owners, check your driveway. The automaker recalled more than 200,000 Tacoma pickup trucks. The details on why coming up. And the CEO of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, makes another stop on his tour across America. He hit the factory floor at a Ford plant. What he said about the trip coming up this morning. Plus, the U.S. Postal Service goes out of this world. It unveiled a new stamp to celebrate the solar eclipse, how your finger can transform the stamp's image. Pretty cool stuff. And an amazing cake creation. Take a look at this. This looks like an ornate wedding dress, right? It turns out you can eat it. This is the cake. All those stories coming up this morning, and joining me to talk all about it, Independent Women's Voice CEO and President Heather Higgins is with us this morning. The King's College Professor of Business and Economics, Brian Brenberg, is with us. And Rose Cliff, CEO and Managing Partner, Mike Murphy. And it is great to see everybody this morning.
Good morning, Maria.
Good morning.
Happy Friday to you, and happy almost 100 days.
I thought I was so talented when I made my daughter a Barbie cake that was simply the dress with you stick a Barbie doll in the middle of an upside down, but no, not in the same way.
Do they make a suit that way? I mean, if there's going to be a dress, there's got to be a suit too, right?
Is,
Come on,
yes.
Come on.
Very funny. Yeah, well, we'll get to that. That cake looks pretty cool, actually. So the agenda. Where are we? Characterize the Trump administration in these first 100 days, even though I know you don't think the 100 days matter very much.
No, but I'd say it's been extraordinarily successful. Despite the artificial numbers, if you look at where he is, he has changed the conversation on a lot of things, in that he has leapfrogged and gone to accepting and decisions about how to do his policies, not whether to do his policies. And he's chalking up wins, and remember, his goal is achieving his goals, not satisfying some temporary process objective.
It's amazing the victories that he's had, given the pushback from the obstructionists on the left and so much other pushback.
And I would say, just quickly, the 100 days probably does matter in one sense. We've been talking about consumer confidence, business confidence during these first 100 days. It's accomplishments in these arbitrary time periods that actually drive some of that. So I think it is important for him to get some things done early.
And Brian, to that point, the consumer confidence increases out there are for both Republicans and Democrats. So the whole country, I think, is feeling it.
We got the GDP out this morning. That's also something to look at in terms of what's gone on this last quarter, economically speaking. We've got a big show ahead. Coming up this morning, Florida Congressman and House Freedom Caucus member Ron DeSantis is with us. The director of the White House National Economic Council, Gary Cohn, who has been talking taxes all week, is going to talk them with us this morning to talk about the president's plans. Join us for Gary Cohn coming up first on Fox. IBM Chairman and CEO and President Ginny Rometty is here. I want to get businesses' take. What does big business think about the economic plans coming out of this White House, and whether or not it will move the needle on growth? All of that coming up, so do stay with us.